All good. Well, welcome to another episode of Solutionaries. I'm your host, Michael DiMartino, and it's a beautiful sunny day here in Crestone, Colorado. And for many of you who watch the show, you know that over the last few months, I've been traveling throughout California and the Southwest, not only interviewing and meeting great solutionaries and people doing amazing work in their regions, but also in the process of creating a huge brick and mortar based and online platform for educational content and a curriculum that's been in development over the last 5 years. So welcome to the show. I know it's a busy world out there and there's lots to do, especially coming out of the last 2 years of this global shutdown and global reset. And a lot of people are excited to be back out doing things that they love to do. So we're really happy to get some of your time, attention, and bandwidth, because even though there's a lot of things to do in the world, we're trying to stay focused and coherent about the ability to implement regenerative solutions and ideas, because, you know, the world is moving at such a fast pace. And as we see the old paradigm of many things that are more based on a colonial Eurocentric model and are extractive and not sustainable around the world, we also have to fill that void of the collapse with positive and regenerative solutions. So I'd like to introduce my guest today. I've had the opportunity to visit him several times at his place up in North San Juan in Nevada County. And we're developing a great friendship. He's a visionary. He is definitely a doer and a high-level solutionary. So I want to welcome to the show Mark Hughes from the Karma Institute and from the WillowSprings Retreat Center. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. How's your day going?
Well, pretty good. You know, it's just another beautiful sunny day, blue skies.
Good.
Love it, love it, love it.
Good. Well, you look very blissful. I know that, you are orchestrating a lot of different projects and things, both with the Karma Institute and also through your land base, the WillowSprings Retreat. I want to congratulate you on breaking ground. I've been in Nevada County almost 15 years, and there's been a lot of talk about stuff. And I just want to congratulate you in actually doing the work and breaking ground and having a facility to do some amazing projects.
Well, thank you. You know, but it's interesting. We have done a lot in the last, well, we bought the property in September of 2018, but this was something that I've wanted to do since I was in my early 30s. So it's taken a while to get there. And it's a combination of the right timing and actually my partner, my current wife, loved the idea of launching this project. And so I couldn't have found a better partner to jump in and make it happen. So we're glad we're here. We're glad we turned the dirt and started to make it happen.
Great. And it's kind of, the divine timing now that the world's starting to look for solutions, are starting to look for the idea of community. People want to go on retreat. They want to have more time to do the inner work, and they want to be exposed to more alternatives and options. And that's all you're presenting through your work there. Again, through the Institute and the Retreat Center. But before we get into all that, why don't we start with you, Mr. Mark Hughes, and why are you doing this? What's your background? What was your evolution to bring you to this moment to actually do this incredible project?
Well, like I said, I was probably in my early 30s when I started. Well, I was actually introduced to personal growth when I was like 21, very early, and I got the bite. I got it, and I was absolutely hooked on the idea that I wanted to be in an arena that would allow me to continue to do work with supporting people to have greater awareness and spiritual awareness and enlightenment and all the stuff that happens. And so when I I was in my early 30s, I said, I really would love to have a retreat center and to facilitate lots of different people that had programs or workshops or things that they wanted to do and give them a home that they could do that at. And I think that was fueled largely by the fact that when I was a new parent, I went online to try to find some parenting classes. And what I found was there was an abundance of dog obedience classes, but there was not anything on parenting. And I thought, wow, now this is going back a few years, but I thought, wow, we really need to make more of this available to the general public. So that's kind of what fueled the whole thing.
Great. Wow, fascinating. And now, so you have an institute and you have a retreat center. So let's start off with the Karma Institute. You kind of shed a little bit light on it, and I think that's your wife in the background. I also want to acknowledge Sharon at some point if she wants to come in over your shoulder, she's welcome. You know, we like to keep it real here on the Solutionary show. So
we're in the middle of a show here, honey. So if you want to come around over here. You know, she's been out in the yard. So this is my better half for sure. This is Trish.
Hi.
And you know, Trish and I met in January of 2018, and I said, you know, I want to do something. I'm ready to do something big. Let's go for it. And she said, let's do it. So we started looking for retreat centers, and she's been a driving force to support me and making it all happen. So kudos to Trish.
What's incredible, I want to say, as a permaculture designer myself, and knowing the property that you're at right now, when I came to visit you, my mind was completely blown because you transformed an old kind of broken down property that was overgrown into this amazing retreat center, an oasis with flowing water and rock sculptures and gardens, and you improved the buildings. I mean, you're even what I loved is you're actually doing a small renovation on what you call the pirate ship and the studio there. So you're keeping a lot of that unique gold country feeling and mystique, but you're doing something very cutting edge, very contemporary and very innovative. So I want to compliment her, if she's still in the room, for her amazing work with the nature spirits, the devos, the plants, dealing with the roots of the operation, let's say, and making the place really a peaceful, really beautiful and nurturing space.
Yeah.
Cool. I like this guy.
Yeah. You now become very popular here.
Well, I mean, we are potentially exploring some collaboration about getting the media studio going. And, you know, I have a lot of resource to help bring to the table. I want to get her in the shot a little more. If she can just move to her left, the hair. All right, perfect. Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I know you're out there in the garden. I want to, again, compliment you on the amazing job you've done on that property. I saw that place like 5 years ago when the old pottery studio and stuff was there, and like, wow, you guys are incredible.
She gets all the credit for all living things: the herb garden, the permaculture garden, all the landscaping, she's just, if she could spend all of her days with her hands in the dirt, that's where she would be happiest.
So one of the things I've discovered in this whole process is Mark is the one with the big vision. You know, like, I would not have bought this property. He's like, he had the vision, he could see the property. And then I slowly then I can come to that same vision over time, but he's the one who can see it. I realize I'm kind of like a worker bee. I like to work.
That's an understatement.
I like to, just get things done. I like to get my hands in the dirt. I'm not like a good, like, administrative big picture, from the, 30,000 foot level. I like to get down there and do it. So I think we make a pretty good combination.
It's a good combination. Very good.
Because you have that big vision and keep that going. And I'm like, let's just get her done.
We call that the roots and wings principle. You have like the big thinkers, the visionaries, and you have, when I first met Mark, I told him, I have some property up on Ubet Road, and I was thinking about a retreat center. And it was fascinating because in Nevada County, which is very wrapped in the old world values, but there's a lot of progressive people coming there, especially over the last few years, with people pouring out of the Bay Area and large urban centers into more rural areas, because I realized I want quality of life. It's not just about sitting in traffic and being a workaholic. And now that we have the technology at a level that people can work remotely, that a lot of people have flooded into Nevada County area. But what's amazing is people would be like, I want to grow food and do the vision and the dream and retreat. And you get them up there for a couple of days, and they pull a few weeds, they water a few fruit trees, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to go back to the city because it's hard work. So I want to, again, as a fellow land worker, I have to wear both hats. I don't have a partner, so I have to wear both hats. But I want to commend you again for the incredible regenerative work that you've done with the landscaping and the water feature and the garden. It's just like, it's really
It's amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
Well, and even like with the permaculture garden, I don't think that was initially part of our plan. It's like, we're like, that's too much to take on. We're just going to lease it out and let, someone else do a garden and stuff. But then it just, things changed. That didn't work out. And then it was, I think Leo was like, well, why don't you just do this yourself? Do a permaculture. You don't have to do it all at once. Do it in stages. And I was like, yeah, we could do it exactly how we want. And it could be part of the education and have if you lease it out and someone else owns the land, if we have a retreat here, it feels a little awkward to go into someone else's space, versus if it's our own space, we could go in, we could make it an education garden and teach people and hold workshops there if anyone was so inclined. So I like the idea. It's been a lot of work though, but it's and I thank you for recognizing that. And I don't think people recognize it unless you've been there yourself, unless you've been a gardener.
And I think yeah, a lot of people have this thing about garden and have this would be great to do all this fun stuff, and then when it comes to like putting in the effort to get it there, it's overwhelming for most people. It just really is. And Trish is down there, like I said, if she could go down there every day and work 8 hours a day in the garden, she'd be happiest. So it works.
I don't know. She rolled her eyes a little bit. I don't know about 8 hours a day. I don't know. What do you think, Trish?
I don't know, maybe 10.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No,
that's not enough time. 8 hours. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's very true. And I do want to say a big part of my work through the Earthstock Foundation, which this media brand and show is just one piece of a puzzle we do. And that's why I really appreciated meeting you guys, because there's so many nodes of connectivity besides us looking at some media support collaboration about regenerative design and what you're doing with the land, the sustainability of the retreat, and even with the garden, educating people about the potential need already about food security as we see supply chain breakdowns and all these things, and even like the cost of organic or commercial produce and all of these things. So again, there's so many elements of what you're weaving together with that center. I was extremely intrigued, and I hope to be doing more work with you guys absolutely in the future. So I know that you do have other people on the property, and there is a community element to it. And I know community can be a very loaded word, because as you both as investors and curators of the property, I see how much you're taking on and doing, but there's also an element like, okay, it does take teamwork to make the dream work. So I want to embrace that, but I also know that that's a whole area of huge effort in itself, just working with the human element, the human resource of building community and collaboration with people. I don't want to go too far down that, but do you have anything you want to say in some of your awareness in your model of like,
I think how we're different than a lot of communities is, and we talk about sustainable food, sustainable energy, sustainable this, but we really are focusing on a sustainable economy. Our retreat center is the hub of what we do here. And the more successful that is, the more it generates income that goes back into the community. So we made a pretty dramatic shift in this last year from the first couple of years where, we invited a lot of people that were really interested in being in community to live here and to participate. And it's shifted more to where this is an enterprise. And we look for very specific people that have very specific skills that can contribute to the advancement of the retreat center. And you're one of them. Is that what you're raising your hand? Okay.
God willing.
Yeah. So that's been really interesting, because it has shifted the mindset for people here, but also for us in terms of, what are specific skills that we need to bring in to make this thing profitable. At the same time, we encourage everybody that's here to take advantage of our 18 acres and all of our buildings and everything that's here, to create their own enterprise, to create a way for them to be economically sustainable. So that's an element that we really encourage. And so I'm looking to create a JVIC. It's a joint venture intentional community. And the focus of that community is different than other communities in that its focus is, what is your identified income source that you want to create for this community to sustain this community economically? So for us, it's a retreat center. For someone else, it could be produce. For someone else, it could be automotive repair. It doesn't really matter, whatever that is. But the community of like-minded people come together and build this enterprise so that they're not doing it alone. They have a group of people that all are supporting each other to have this enterprise be successful.
I'm glad you say that, because that's exactly the model of how we're building up our collaborations and partnerships with people. So again, it's like this moment of this epiphany, like, oh yeah, it has to be self-sustaining, and everyone has to be self-sustaining in their own sovereign participation.
Correct.
Which is part of, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So again, so that sounds like a great thing. So since we've gotten into the nuts and bolts of it, and we have Trish here, what exactly is your vision, and what is there physically on the property as far as the WillowSprings Retreat Center?
So is this with or without county approval? Because
I feel your pain as a builder of a tiny cob house in Nevada County, and showing how we can do construction that's fireproof and do tiny housing. People don't need to live in these 3,000 square foot mansions, or, and also there's a housing issue in Nevada County because so many people are buying second, third homes there and then Airbnb them out, that the flavor of the community in the last few years has changed drastically, because a lot of service workers and artists and people who bring that culture and that community essence to that area. Because as you know, in Nevada County and Grass Valley, Nevada City, Grass Valley, there's no box stores allowed in downtown. It's all small, independent, local businesses. But unfortunately, because of during the pandemic and so many people moving there, and now with the Airbnb movement, it's almost impossible for medium income people who bring the artistic and the community piece to the area are being pushed out because they can't afford to live there. So again, I want to say that I've been trying to work with the county about showing these models, and it's a huge challenge because they're going by an old model,
a very old, outdated model. So I've been in real estate for 35 years. I was an administrative assistant to a county commissioner in Lane County, Oregon, and I put on a symposium and Oregon at the time, this is going back a few years, Oregon at the time had an organization called Land Conservation Development Commission, and it was the most organized land use planning structure in the United States at the time. But they started making policy decisions that weren't, in my opinion, the best. So we had this symposium when we started talking about the benefit of cluster housing, and everybody from the police and the fire and all the jurisdictions said this makes the most amount of sense. So I've been in the world of real estate. My father, I was in third grade when I was helping my father remodel his houses. So I've seen it go over 30, 40 years. And the reality is when we used to be able to talk about providing affordable housing to serve to our people that are providing services, the people working at McDonald's, the people working at the gas stations, the people, all that kind of stuff. That's not even the case anymore. We're talking about middle America can't afford housing. We're talking about a huge percentage of people that can't afford housing. And we're operating on a model that was designed and implemented 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And the unfortunate part is these jurisdictions go by a black book. And let me give you a good example. And this is where I think we have to, as a community, as a culture, our motto at the Karma Institute is living good karma in the modern world. how we live today with good karma is very different than how we lived maybe 5-10 years ago. And the example that I really use is Gandhi. I mean, Gandhi put his foot down, right? I mean, he just said, not going to do it. It ain't going to happen. And that's where I think we're going. And I think that's where we're going in terms of land use and in terms of housing, is we've got to be able to say, we're not going to do it. For example, we have a new commercial well, and with the well, we have to do a well test. And this well test is you turn on the water for 10 days and at full capacity, and that tests the capability of your well. Well, that translates into us pumping and dumping 432,000 gallons of water. Now, I practice this all the time where I put my hands out and I go ahead, arrest me, throw me in jail. I'm not going to do it. It makes no sense. And that's just one example of where our land use is out of touch with reality. I mean, I can give you examples after examples after examples.
Especially in the area where it's drought stricken.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have the worst drought in 13 decades. Is that what you read?
Something like that. I don't remember.
I mean, Lake Mead is at an all-time low. People are worrying about water. We're not able to provide water to farmers to produce produce to feed the population.
There's no snowpack.
And they're telling me they want me to pump. I mean, we could do a 6-week series on just this topic.
I'm heading in your direction soon. So
okay.
That's why I wanted to do this interview, because I think it will stimulate a lot of the potential. And again, it's nice to meet Trish and a little more insight to kind of what I do and what we're going to be doing and stuff. So part of that also is I just had some investment people who want to create our own green style Netflix, like our own content platform that we can do that will support nonprofits and causes and organizations for content creators. Because again, the old design is the pyramid. You have the corporation at the top extracting all of the resources, all of the capital, and none of it really goes back. You know, the whole idea of a trickle down community is kind of a farce. So with you dealing with the administrative piece and the land use and the permitting and the building, and talking about affordable housing and stuff. And then you have also Trish in the garden, because a lot of people, and we see this primarily in poor areas, can't get quality of food, which affects the health, which affects quality of life. So, you know, if we look back in time through the idea of these victory gardens, like everybody should have a garden and should be growing organic food and produce, because not only is it makes sense for our health, but it also makes quality of life more affordable, and it gives us more food security. This is not like some avant-garde or countercultural idea. And because what's happening in the world right now, we're seeing more and more that these are sensible, practical, affordable, down-to-earth solutions of how to move forward, because there is a lot of corporate self-interest in the way things have been structured. Like you said, they have this black book, and this is the colonial model, and this is how it has to be. And it doesn't make sense. And even with fires right now, the lack of appropriate land stewardship, of all these things, and we're seeing the devastation of huge communities. So let's rewind just for a minute. But I do want to, does Trish want to add anything right now? I just want to make sure. I know you have two very inspired gentlemen here. I want to make sure. I'll get in trouble with my women friends are like, no, women need to be heard. What do you? So I want to make sure that if you have anything to add.
No. I mean, there's so many different tangents we could go off on, and I don't want to do that. So I'm good. I thank you for asking. Originally we were starting to talk about kind of community, and then we got into the county and the whole, the well and stuff.
The reality, here's the bottom line. I could not have done this without her. And we have an agreement that we discuss everything together and we agree on things. And there's areas that I have some strengths in and she defers to me. And there's areas that she has strengths that I defer to her. But at the same time, we're doing this truly as two people co-creating, collaborating on this project. And I do want to go back to your questions where we're going. And so part of it is to create this JVIC, a joint venture intentional community, but to create an eco village here that is supported by forms of constructions that people can build themselves. Because as being in real estate, I've witnessed the cost of, construction going from, God, I remember when it was $100 a square foot. And then it's, 300 a square foot, 500 a square foot. You can go to places, it's $800 a square foot. And not to take away from contractors, because they do a phenomenal job, but in order to really attack the affordability factor, the equation that we can actually make a difference, instead of just talking about it, just instead of, all these jurisdictions that talk about affordable housing and then don't do anything really about it, is how do we create affordable housing? Is we create ways in which people can build their own houses.
I would agree with that, because I think one of the things that I think goes on with counties is affordable housing is a buzzword, and it's really, kind of PC to talk about it and wanting it. But I think deep down, a lot of counties don't want affordable housing because they have this fear it's going to bring undesirable elements to their county. If we have low cost housing, it's going to bring transient, it's going to bring, people who are just of a lower socioeconomic.
But again,
they don't want that. They
right.
want the higher income people who are going to be
yeah, which is right. But yet they'll complain why they can't get a pizza delivered because there's no pizza delivery people, or why they can't go out and do this and do that, because right now there's a huge lack of service workers, and there's also a huge lack of pilots. All across the spectrum over the last 2 years, the way we keep over designing everything, the whole system is just collapsing and breaking down on itself. So we have to go back again to simple solutions and do things that make sense. And especially in California, fire resistant housing, affordable housing. It's insane. The basic house in California starts at least $500,000.
And I think what people need to be able to do is say, okay, I am going to spend X thousands of dollars on some raw materials, have a week and invite my friends over, and at the end of a week, have a basic dwelling that I can start using, a cob house or
the
something.
foundation in place. Yeah. So our goal is to basically produce 21-day workshops where people can come and learn from an expert on how to build a cob wall, how to build a straw bale house, how to convert a shipping container, how to do all these different things. And then we can produce a video that we can then make available online for other people.
Well,
and also, let me finish, and also have a model where people can see. This is the part where if Nevada County would just let us do what we wanted to do in a responsible manner. And I think if you talk to anybody at Nevada County, they'll tell you that when we do stuff here at Willow Springs, we do it by code and we do it responsibly. But if we can just tweak the way we look at things slightly and do it a little differently, we will have people from all over the United States coming to Nevada County to say, what is the model of the future?
Absolutely.
That's where we're at.
Absolutely. And to tell you the truth, that's why I'm in Colorado, in Crestone and Saguache County. It's the most embracing to sustainable and regenerative design models, earthship, straw bale, cob house. Nevada County just passed a new ordinance about the lack of letting people do straw bale houses because they said it's not structurally safe. So I'm with you. And I think this is the node of connectivity besides the media piece. Through our Earthstock Foundation, I have this thing called Academies for Regenerative Culture, which is a brand of which is going to play into the curriculum piece, because here in Colorado, I could bring in the top designers from around the world and do workshops and programs with no flack at all. The community embraces it. The mayor embraces it. The county supervisors embrace it. I can do dome housing. There's a Fibonacci spiral house. There's straw bale, there's cob, there's hempcrete. It's all happening here. I come back to Nevada County. I build a tiny house, a few hundred square feet, and I do it as straw bale. And the county has dinged me with a mountain of fines and ordinances. So I want to say this. I am intrigued about working with you guys as we change the old cronyistic broken system into something that makes sense, and creating media and part of this global network, because I know you guys are juggling a lot. I have hundreds of potential faculty people and workshops and presentations that I can offer. I've been an event producer for 35 years. So that's why when Mark and I had our first conversation, I was very intrigued because it wasn't like, oh, you just want to create media. I mean, everyone's creating media, but the nature of the content and making real tangible change. And I have a personal passion to change Nevada County's cronyistic board of supervisors and planning commission that I've been dealing with for 15 years on my properties. So there's so much connectivity here. I'm really excited about how we're going to formulate this partnership.
I was going to say I'm so happy to hear that you have that passion for changing the government here in Nevada County.
Well, and it's so funny because it's, and in all fairness to Nevada County, some of this is imposed upon this whole pump and dump $432,000. That's a California regulation. And on a side note, when I called the board to ask them about this, the guy said, well, I don't know who's in charge, but I'll make some emails and send out some. And if I hear back from somebody, I'll redirect you. 10 minutes later, he calls me back and he goes, oops, I stand corrected. That is my department. So we have people in government that are completely out of touch. And here's what is so important for the advancement of a culture. If a culture does not provide an opportunity for innovation, it goes stagnant. No culture can progress unless they support innovation. Let's try this differently. So where I'm at with our property here is I would love the opportunity to move forward with creating stuff and then ask the county, so tell me, what's so horribly wrong with what we're doing? Tell me why this doesn't work. What this does is it provides people a place to live for between $500 and $1,000 a month. Just try to replicate that.
Sure.
And we're doing it in a very innovative, sustainable, like you said, fire resistant, all those kind of things at a time when our fire insurance is going through the roof. Why not be innovative?
Well, look at the new low income housing they put into Nevada City and Grass Valley area. They bulldozed the whole forest. They took down every tree, and then they put up these huge chemically treated condominiums side by side to each other, not fire resistant. I mean, look in Boulder, they just had 1,600 houses burned down because they bulldozed everything. They put up all these same box cutter houses side by side. A grass fire happened, and within a couple of days, 1,600 houses burned down. Plus, the way they're doing it, they're not leaving any thing that's going to help keep the soil alive so that they can actually grow things. And then what did they do? They go out and they buy these chemically treated trees, and they buy trees and they put trees back in there that won't even create shade or contribute to the environment for another decade. So again, I think we agree we're dealing with a very broken model. So let's do this. We have a few minutes left. I know we could talk about this for a lot, and I'm looking forward to our.
But what we've talked about is about an 8-week series on 12 different topics. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, this is why I wanted to do the interview, get a little glimpse into the gears and but so let's go back, because I really want to interview you today about the mission statement of Karma Institute and how does that interact with the WillowSprings Retreat Center. And very quickly, let's talk about that. And then nuts and bolts, what's on the retreat center? What can people expect?
The bottom line is the Karma Institute is the vehicle that recruits and promotes the opportunity for amazing instructors and facilitators and come to do workshops here on the property, WillowSprings Lodge and Retreat Center, and that will enhance people's, quality of life. That's
so right there. I already know that Karma Institute and Earthstock Foundation we're gonna work together and create some amazing stuff. I have a stable of solutionaries I've been gathering for, I probably have like a database of like 500 global solutionaries all around what you're doing, and that's why I'm excited to work with you. It's not just the Karma Institute; it's also the Retreat Center, and it's also both of you and the work that you're doing. You're very hands-on and you're creating a working template. Okay, so Karma Institute brings,
and WillowSprings Lodge is the event venue. That's the place where it happens. So we have a lodge that we completely renovated that sleeps between 13 and 20 people. It has a commercial-like kitchen. It's not technically a commercial kitchen, but it sort of is. So it can do food production for a lot of people. We have a yoga studio. We have a welcome center. We have like a half a dozen different breakout sessions or great breakout rooms. We have an outdoor pavilion. It's 36 feet by 48 feet. It's open on 3 sides, so it has great airflow. There's an event venue or a wedding terrace for people who want to do life celebrations. And we are just now expanding to create glamping sites and making it available for people who want to have affordable places to stay. The retreat center was designed as a result of my experience as a facilitator, trying to find affordable event venues where at the end of the day, I ended up making money from my efforts. And so we have a very comfortable place. Trish and I are blessed that we have, so far we're 5 stars with Airbnb. People come here and love this place. They get the sense of it. It's a kind of a working farm. I mean, it doesn't have all the trimmed grass and everything is all manicured. It's a rustic sort of farm, but it has an energy. And that's what we got when we came here. Through the 10 feet of blackberries that covered the entire property, we felt something about this property. So people come here. Last year, our groups that came here, about 50% of them, I mean, we're 5 minutes from the Yuba River, right? I mean, we have a phenomenal outlet of all these different water holes. Last year, about 50% of our people that came here never left the property. They just hung out. They sat on the back patio. They went off and found a bench somewhere and sat down with their friends. They went and checked out the chickens. They, went into the garden, whatever it was. But I think, what we offer is a place for people to come and unplug. They come here, they reboot, they rejuvenate, and they just get away from the rat race. So we're very fortunate. We feel very blessed that we have this. We still to this day are amazed when people go on and on about how they love it here, because we kind of it's kind of our home. And we look around and I'm looking at, I got to get those weeds, and I got to go pick that up, and I got to fix that, and people see beyond that, and they feel the essence of what we have here on this property. And it is truly amazing. And that's not us. That's just, we were fortunate to have found it.
Right. Well, I will say this, it takes a very specific type of person and personality in the spirit of service and good karma and compassion and hardworking and follow through and administrative prowess to initiate all the different aspects of what you're creating there. So kudos to you. And I really look forward to working with you on the media piece, and we can talk more about that. I will be back in Nevada.
Dude, I think we're well beyond the media piece.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The media will be one piece of a few different, as we get to know each other, I'm seeing what we call the meta design.
It'll be the glue. It's going to be the glue that holds all of this other stuff together. It's the way we communicate the bigger picture of what we're creating and what we're striving for to encourage our community, our culture, our society to step forward, to be more innovative, to make a difference in the areas that we really need to make. That's what it's about. Yeah. Cool.
Well, Mark Hughes, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to get to know you more and to meet Trish. And I deeply appreciate our developing friendship, and also the potentiality of collaboration. And I really like what you said. There's a million visions out there in the world. There's tons of great ideas, but I encourage people, find the hat or two that you wear the best and wear that and implement it. Like, we have to move beyond just the conceptual now into actually creating these solutions into the 3D and bringing these solutions to people and doing the education, but the implementation, and that's where a lot of people fall short. They're not able to implement from, concept to reality, from dirt to the doorknob of a retreat center. So thank you for your time. If people want more information, how would they find you?
info@WillowSpringsLodge.com.
Great. And you have a website.
Yeah, and WillowSpringsLodge.com. And and karmainstitute.org. Either one.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you for your time and your
Thank
inspiration
you.
and really incredible opportunity. And we'll be talking soon about where we go from here. So thanks for
Great.
your time, and tell
Thank
Trish,
you.
have a great day.
Trish has already moved on to another project.
All right. Don't let that one go. She's
No,
incredible.
I told her long ago, I can't keep up. So, you
All
you
right.
just keep going. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.